Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. Today I'm going to be talking politics. Yes, we're going to be talking politics today. If you're new here, thanks for tuning in. I am channeling 60% spirit guides, 40% Susan. It's a mixture. The mixture can change. I am human. It's like mixing something in water. You know, you can have a lot of something or a little bit of something and you can change that. So that's what's happening. You guys left questions about a week ago. I went back and scored some more of those to kind of talk about in this video. So let's do that, shall we? Oh, by the way, I do have a new background because I'm in a new place. I am heading back to Texas in a few days, but this is a temporary stop along the way. But you know what? I'm still working, right? I'm still working. So I want to talk about a few things. First of all, this was not a question of yours, but it's a question of mine, and that is that it's been reported that Tim Walz has a brother who is a MAGA, who lives in Florida, who is 100% against everything that Tim is for. Apparently, I haven't looked this up specifically, his grievances. In other words, I haven't looked up his grievances, but he says I'm 100% against everything that Tim is for. So whatever, we don't care, right? We listen. We all have family members like this now. This is normal life for us, right? So, but here's the thing. We know how MAGA operates, and we know that they are going to try to get this man in front of Fox News or in front of a TV camera, and they're going to try to they're going to exploit. The guides say they're going to exploit him, and they're going to exploit his 5 minutes of fame talking about his brother. And my question to Spirit is it going to work, right? Like, what damage could this potentially cause the Walz Harris campaign and or Walz in general? And I will say that what the guides are saying is they lie anyway, untruths, or they don't speak truth is what the guides are saying. I would translate that into they be lying. So, they be lying. So it doesn't really matter, right? Like, you have Tim Walz's brother up there. He can say whatever he wants to say. He can say Tim Walz was so weird. He only ate green M&Ms, right? He was so weird as a kid. He did this or did that, or as a young man, he did that, or he thinks all this crazy, whatever he says, it doesn't really matter, right? Because it's going to be edited and formulated for consumption to people and for people that have already made up their mind about it, that already have confirmation bias. It's simply going to confirm what they already think about Tim Walz. I don't see anything that is so damning that it's going to derail Tim Walz. I mean, he's already governor. He's already run for office. He's already been vetted 100 times. He's been voted for. People have, looked at his record. I just don't see this being a big game ender or some kind of big deal. What it will do is cause more confusion and chatter around Tim Walz for the right, right? It's like feeding the goldfish in the pond. You know what I mean? They're just feeding them information. I do think his brother is kind of, well, we all have one, right? The guide said that in the very beginning. We all have a family member who's not normal. I mean, look at RFK. I mean, you have the Kennedy family, and then you've got this dunce. We all have a family member, the weird uncle, the weird one in your family. So he's angry. This guy is angry. Tim Walz's brother is. He's an angry man. He's just like the MAGA. He blames everybody for his problems. That's what MAGA do. Um, I would just tell you the image still stays the same, which is, if you're a visual person, if you're not, just know that this is what I'm seeing. Tim Walz and Kamala Harris are running like, in the action movie, and they're ahead of all these things happening behind them. Like, whatever the Republicans try to blow up or whatever the Republicans try to make a big deal, it ends up behind them. Like, the explosion happens, but they're already ahead. Tim Walz and Kamala Harris are already ahead of it. They're not looking back. This is what the spirit guide said in the last videos. They're not looking back. They're not stopping. They don't care about the past. They're running towards the future. They're running towards solutions. They're running towards solving problems, and they're not going to stop and look back. That the guides just showed me when Kamala did her interview, and Dana Bash said, "Well, what do you have to say to 45 who says that you were black and now you're not black, or you aren't, or you were, I don't know." And Kamala just got this look on her face, like, there are dumb people everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, God bless you. In the South, we would say, God bless your heart. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't help it, can you? You just can't. And because you can't help it, I'm not going to rip your throat out. I'm just going to look at you like, you poor thing. And Kamala said, next question. And she said, oh, you're not going to answer that? She said, no, next question. I'm not going to look back. That's the saying, even, is we're not going to go back, right? So, no, this stuff with Tim Walz is not, it has no substance. It's not that it has no substance. They want to say specifically, it is not of any substance. So yes, there's substance there. Maybe he was a weird kid. Maybe he did something that was funny or odd or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, didn't we all? There's substance, but it's of no substance. Okay. So I'm not worried about his brother coming out against him. I don't think you should either. I would tell you if I was worried about it. Believe me, I shoot you guys straight. I tell you what I get. Not always right, but I'm right enough that I believe it, and that you guys follow me, right? I'm not 100% right, but I'm right enough that that's more often than not the guides are correct. People have free will, but in this case, we're going back and rewriting history, is what they're saying. You're taking history and you're making it something different. It's not gonna affect them. Okay, let me talk about this, because the guides gave me this today, and it helped me make sense of so much. And I think it's going to help you understand what we're going through, and it's going to help you understand where we're going. And I think that is so helpful, right? Like, a lot of times we're just trying to make sense. Like, why are the MAGAs the way they are? Why are people even considering voting for 45? Like, you just want to be like, what is wrong with these people, right? Let me explain to you women. Now, the guides say this is humans, okay? It's not just women, but I would tell you that Susan, part of this combination, is women is important, because we're the ones that are going to change the vote. We're the ones that are going to change what's happening. We are the ones that are going to put Harris and Walz in office. We are the ones that have to, because we are the ones that have been on the receiving side of this bad energy. Okay, so here's the thing, and I think this makes so much sense. They've been talking recently about how Americans are gaslit. Like, Trump gaslights us. Congress gaslights us. The Supreme Court gaslight us. No, you just thought that was a law, but it really wasn't. No, you really think you should have this right, but you don't really want it. It's not in your best interest. Like, they're telling women, oh, it's not in your best interest to be on birth control. Oh, it's not in your best interest to have artificial insemination. Oh, it's not in your best interest to have an abortion. They're telling us, they're gaslighting us, they're lying to us. So, what is happening now is that they explained it to me like this, and it made so much sense. If you've ever been in a bad relationship, who has not been around? I mean, literally 99.9% of you have been in a bad relationship. Okay. You've been in a bad relationship. Perhaps you were in a relationship with someone who gaslit you. That's my dog on the couch. Or a narcissist, or somebody who just said, no, you're really fat. And you're like, am I fat? Like, I'm not fat. Like, I don't think I'm fat. Oh, no, you're fat, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I am, right? Telling you things that are not true to control you. This is what's been happening to the American people. And you can think about it in a relationship. We are in a relationship with Republicans who have created a scenario where there are, whether we like it or not, there are significant other. They're our spouse, because they are judges. They are politicians that make laws over us. Whether we want it or not, we're in a relationship with them. We've allowed them. I know that I'm blue, you're blue. We didn't allow Jack. We voted, whatever. But guess what? Guess what? We, as a whole, red and blue and undecided people and women, are going, wait a minute, wait a minute. You're telling me that I can't do this when you shouldn't be in my life telling me about that? I'm not going to keep track of my menstrual cycle for you. I'm not going no. The answer is no. They're waking up. Every relationship, you get to a point where your friends are like, golly, I wish she would get out of that relationship, or God, that person is so bad, or she's treating him so bad, right? Whatever. Everybody knows it but you. This is where the Magas are. This is where the undecideds are. They're starting to wake up and they're going, oh, snap. Everybody knows that this stuff is crazy, except for me. I'm the last to know. But now I'm waking up and I'm going, this is not right. Like, in any relationship, right? Doesn't it happen like the straw that broke the camel's back? Like you're like, okay, for whatever reason, this one thing is the thing. Like this person could have treated you terribly, could have said bad things about you in public, could have controlled you, could have belittled you. Doesn't it sound like the Republican Party doing this to even Democrats, to everybody in the state that you live in, right? And you put up with it because you thought I have to. I just have to. I can't. There's nothing I can do. Or you voted for them because you thought, well, they know better than I do. And they're just telling me the truth, right? I need to just go ahead and vote for them because I'm afraid of what they've made me afraid of. And I want them to protect me. So yeah, I'm a bad person, whatever. I'm going to believe all that bad stuff about me, but I'm going to do it because they're protecting me. Then something sets you off. Like all of a sudden, one little thing like breaking the straw, breaking the camel's back, right? You're like all of a sudden like, no, I'm not. That was a line too far. Maybe it is the idea of you keeping track of your menstrual cycle. Maybe it is the idea of you having lost a baby and not being able to remove it from your body at your own risk of your own health, or that happening to your child or your granddaughter, right? Maybe that's it. Whatever it is, it's like boom. Another thing the guides are saying, and this is so true, right? The Republicans have made the far right wingers mad because they had an opportunity to really vote for that border deal and they didn't do it. So they're mad. The far right is actually mad at Trump. Guess who else is now mad at Trump? Because now Trump is saying, well, you know what? Weed might be fine and abortions might be fine. He's waffling on all the issues that he's convinced these people they should literally do anything to protect. He's waffling because he's trying to figure out, how do I get these votes? How do I get these people to like me? So the people that are voting for him, that have been voting for him, that have been ingesting, feeding on this energy of the border and feeding on this energy of drugs are bad and feeding on this energy of women must be controlled. Now they hear these things coming from Trump that are like waffling and they're like, wait a minute, that creates dissonance. That creates, wait a minute, you said this and I believed you, but now you're saying this and I'm still here and I don't think I can come with you down here. You left me. Why did you leave me? Why are you changing your opinion on this? Dissonance. Okay, so then you start thinking, and this is what you do in a relationship, right? When you have that one breakthrough and you go, wait a minute, whatever it is, we all know, think back to your relationships. There's one thing, and it was one thing too far. Then you go back and you're like, and another thing, and that time you did this, and that time you did that, and that thing you did, and this thing you said about me. You go back and you litigate all the things this person's been doing to you for the last 6 months, year, 20 years, it doesn't matter, right? All those things you've been burying. You've been just like, okay, whatever, whatever. Well, now they're all to the top. That's what's happening with Trump. And that's what's happening to women. And to some degree, just basically American citizens are saying, I don't believe you now because you told me this was wrong and now you're telling me it's okay. And you lied. And now that I'm looking at it, I see that you lied all the time. And now the dissonance between what I believed and what I know is too big and I can't deal with it. So I'm out. I'm out. I'm not going to vote for anybody. It's not like they're going to turn around and become Harris voters. They're just not going to vote. Now, this is something the spirit guides have been telling you for a long time. Before, when Biden was running, they've been telling you this for a long time, that the MAGAs are going to get disenfranchised or disillusioned with, MAGA, with Trump, and they're just going to not vote. They're going to say to you the magic words, they're all bad. All politicians are bad. It's all bad. And I've told you this many times that if your friends or family say they're all bad, Susan, they're just all bad, that's your clue that they are not voting for Trump. They're not voting for Harris. They're not voting for Trump. They're not voting for anybody, which is fine. I'd rather they not vote than vote for, if my choices are don't vote for anybody or vote for Trump, my voice is don't vote for anybody. So now, I want to just say this about the women waking up, because when you're in that relationship and you go, oh, snap, this is terrible. Like, this is the worst thing. Like, I can't believe I've been treated this bad. And you're kind of embarrassed, right? Aren't you? You're embarrassed to go to your friends because you're like, that they've been looking at you, like, come on now, wake up. Or, they've been avoiding you. Maybe you lost all your friends. Your family doesn't talk to you anymore. Isn't this exactly the same when you're in a bad relationship? It's exactly the same as when you're a MAGA. It's the same thing. When you're in a bad relationship and you wake up and you're like, "Man, I've been gaslit. This is like I've been in crazy town, and now I'm starting to be realistic about my crazy town." Then what happens is, what do you do? What do you do? Do you walk out and ghost that person? Do you just ghost them? Do you just leave in the middle of the night, change your number, leave town? That would be the voters not voting for Trump. They're ghosting him. See how it's exactly the same energy? Another thing is, well, you could go to your friends who you haven't talked to in a long time, or your family, and say, wow, I get it now. Like, I get it. Like, yeah, that was bad. Maybe your family says, yeah, well, we tried to tell you, we were worried about you, whatever, whatever, however that conversation goes. But it's a delicate conversation. The guides have also said, when these Trumpers come to you hat in hand, so to speak, when they come to you and they say, I don't know what happened, I don't know how I got in that situation, the best thing is not to hit them over the head and say, we told you, and you've wasted your life with that man. You've wasted your life with that woman. You've wasted your life with this Trumper stuff. It's not helpful, right? If people come to you and they're genuinely like, wow, what, I've been in a cult. I don't know. I've been in a bad relationship. Be gentle. Welcome them. Help them, right? It's just, think of this MAGA thing as all these people are in a cult, yes, but they're all in a bad relationship. Because I think I cannot understand being in a cult. I've never been in a cult unless there's one around chocolate or cheese. Then I've definitely been in a cult. But anyway, but I can understand a bad relationship. Like, when I think of this scenario with all these American people, when I think of them in a gaslit situation, I'm like, oh yeah, I've been there. Whew, have I been there, man? It helps me understand what these people are going through. And it helps me understand how they might react. So women specifically, because we know that there's probably going to be more women waking up, because women are the ones who've been controlled. Women are the ones who have really been at the wrong end of this energy. As they wake up and they realize, I can't do this. Like, I might be this, I might be that, but I can't vote for this man because my daughter has a difficult pregnancy, or my daughter had or I had a difficult pregnancy. I can't do it. This is an opportunity for them to realize, number one, that, maybe they need to open their mind and their heart around race. Maybe they need to open their mind and their heart around the things that Democrats tend to care about, child welfare, homelessness, the environment, all those things. It's really an opportunity for them to say, you know what? I realize that I've been really fed a steady diet of fear. And now I really don't need to be afraid because I was gaslit. I was made to think that there were a million people coming over the border that were going to attack me. Not true. I've been made to think that gay and trans people are going to, convert my kids. Not true. I've been made to think that people of other races and traditions and religions are bad. Not true. I hope you guys can understand that a whole lot of people are going to have a whole lot of reality, like clarity brought to them. And it really is destabilizing to realize that everything that you believed in your life has been built on a lie. It's a lot like when your spouse of many number of years you learn has been cheating on you all those years and you've been living a lie. It's the same thing. These MAGAs are going to wake up and realize they've been fed and living a lie. Now, I'm not saying to you that all these MAGAs are going to wake up tomorrow and be singing Kumbaya in the backyard. That's not going to happen. It's going to take a long time, for one thing, but it is happening. And I think that the reason the spirit guides want me to talk about it is that it's really a fragile time in this timeline because nature abhors a vacuum. If you have some of these women MAGAs realizing they've been gaslit, realizing they've been controlled, realizing that that these people, these men, didn't have their best interest at heart and were actively actually trying to demean them and trying to hurt them, they're going to go through a lot of emotions. I mean, they're going to be angry at everybody. They're going to be angry not only at MAGA men, but also Democrats. They're going to be mad at everybody. They're going to be spitting fire at everybody. They could be, again, ghosting everybody. They could, if they have the emotional bandwidth, and this is not a judgment, it's just, it is what it is, right? They may be in a place where they go, that's it, I'm a Democrat. That's it. That's it. Like, the lights came on and somebody was home and somebody answered the door to the thought and said, enough of this, right? Enough of this. So hopefully that helps you understand, right? What's happening with Americans and the MAGA brand. It is a cult, but it's also a relationship. And we have to decide how we're going to deal with it. We have to decide, how do we break up with these men that are controlling us and some of these women? How do we break up with them? Think about it. Think about red states like Missouri. Think about red states like Texas. How do we do it? How do we change it? Right? So, this fragile process of these women and some men waking up and going, okay, I've been gaslit. We have to allow them to kind of come in to our tent. But we also have to be very careful that they don't come into the tent and then tilt the whole thing to pink. Do you know what I mean? Because that's a lot of times what can happen, right? Like they come in and then they're like, well, I don't really like this stuff you're doing over here. I think we need to be over here. That's the thing that I worry about is bringing a lot of disparate, a lot, and Democrats are disparate. Democrats are big tent people. We are the party of, everything. But we just need to make sure that we know what our values are and stay true to them. But I think knowing this about people waking up in a bad relationship and how they may react to that bad relationship is going to be very interesting because some women go out and key your car. Let's be honest. But some women also, and men, I mean, but again, I think predominantly this is women. Some women pick up the phone and do a tips line call, right? Yeah, this person at this address has X number of illegal items, right? Expect the unexpected. These women are going to surprise you. And you might find that women married to some of these Republicans might be the ones to turn them in. Because when the switch goes off, it's going to go off. And they're going to realize, no, thank you. I've been had, I've been lied to, and no, thank you. I'm not doing this. I'm out of here. And I'm either going to ghost you or I'm going to call the police on you or I'm going to call an attorney on you. I'm not just going to walk away. I'm going to get my half of the house. I'm going to get my values back in this election. Okay. So that to me, that was fascinating. Hopefully that made sense and that was fascinating to you. Let me just talk about a few things. Yeah, it's like a divorce. I wrote down it's like a divorce. They're divorcing the Republican Party, but it's divorcing their values. It's not the Republican Party, it's their values. Yeah, the Republicans are going to get divorced and they're going to lose everything in the divorce. That's basically the analogy. Okay, a few more things I wanted to talk about was people all often say, why do we even continue to talk about Trump? Why are we talking about him? I'm so tired of hearing about him. Here's the thing. Everybody, Supreme Court, Congress, governors, mayors, everybody, your police officers, everybody is looking at Trump. If Trump can get away with it, they're golden. They're golden. They can continue acting outside of the law. Okay? They're waiting. If Trump gets off or he gets elected, then they're good. If he gets sentenced or he gets he doesn't win, they're all they're all now being investigated. They're likely going to go to jail. They're likely going to get indicted. Their life is over. So everything hangs on Trump. And this also goes for Bibi and Putin and all these wannabe and true dictators and despots. Once America says no, we already said no once to Trump. We're going to say no 2 times to Trump. We don't want this. Divorcing the Republican Party. Once America says that, everything starts going faster. Like all of the indictments for the Jan 6 connected Congress people, boom, 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 start falling right into place. You're going to start seeing it's just the energy. It's like the energy gets clean somehow, is what they want to say. You're going to see police departments being investigated. You're going to be seeing judges investigated. You're going to see more ethics being passed. You're going to see law. I mean, everything moves forward. Justice moves forward. But it's just like the spirit guide said years ago. What will the people choose? Remember when they said that? And I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. Here we are. We choose. Like, choose your own adventure, right? We choose. And one thing that I was going to say earlier is that humans probably should be in the streets, right? Like the fact that we are putting up with the things we're putting up with, like in Texas, throwing out VOTESs, the Supreme Court throwing out our rights, we should be in the streets. Humans should be saying, like they are in Tel Aviv right now, like record numbers of people are in the streets saying no to Netanyahu. No, we don't want this. Well, if Americans are not in the streets, then we must want it. We must be okay with it. We've been gaslit. We've been mind numbed into just dealing with it, thinking it's never going to change. So once we get rid of him, and we will get rid of 45, his days are over. Humans are choosing. Humans will go to the polls and do the thing in greater numbers. Okay, we will move past this. But once we get to that place, whether it's the 3 things would be, and I guess there are 3 things. One is he nuts out on stage to a degree that everybody sees it. There's no way you can say it didn't happen. And that means it would have to be pretty bad, right? Because look at the things he's gotten away with that he's lied about or whatever. Number 2, he goes to jail or prison. I don't see that happening, but that's number 2. Number 3, there's 4 things. Number 3 is he crosses over Number 4 is that he absconds, meaning run away. Like I've told you guys, there's an energy around him wanting to be, quote unquote, the exile president, the president in exile. He thinks it's so romantic. He keeps showing me that guy. Anyway, I don't have his name right now, but I keep seeing that guy that's lived in exile forever. Um, he just thinks it's so cool. Like he thinks he wouldn't have to be president. He wouldn't have to do anything. He would have money because his followers would send him money because the thing that they're all afraid of, which is being marginalized and having their rights taken away, has happened to their dear leader. So now they're going to support him in his, he'll be a martyr, a living martyr. Now the thing about that is I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think it's sort of like a race. He's got a timeline, and I think his mental acuity is decreasing faster than he has time left to make that escape. I could be wrong, especially because people cover up his mental decline. So if they can continue to cover up his mental decline and get him to another country, then he's a money-making asset, and he's not a problem for the Republicans anymore, right? It solves so many problems. The Republicans get rid of a problem. He gets money from his grifting people. So anyway, those are the things that could happen to him. And I can't tell you because he has free will. It's not decided yet whether he will cross in the next couple of months or whether he will nut out completely in the next couple of months. And then so I keep telling you guys, like, this is our lesson, right? This is our lesson. So the lesson is now, will Judge Merchan sentence him? Will we send the message to everyone we mean business, and 45 is not above the law? Because so far we've allowed him to be above the law. Even SCOTUS has allowed him to be above the law. So the message we're sending to anybody else who would be crooked is continue. You're not going to get held accountable. We've got to send the message. The sooner we send the message to him, you're not above the law, the sooner we move through this energy and through our lessons and get to the other side, and then we can start rebuilding. Okay? And also, for whatever reason, once we deal with 45, then Bibi goes and Putin goes, all the same energy. It's like they're all feeding on each other. And the world has the same lesson, right? The world, they have all these bullies. It's the bully energy. Are you going to stand up to the bully or not? What will the people choose? So that brings me to Mersham. There's another case. I think it's back to Chutkin, maybe. I'm not sure. Another case that's going to be tried again this week that has to do with Trump. Let me not look at that because that's confusing me. But Mershon is a real potential. This is a real opportunity, okay, for us to adjust this energy. Delay. I still see a delay. I keep telling you guys I see a delay. I don't know why, but there's a delay around that. It could be that Trump tries to leave. It could be that Trump fakes an illness. He makes money when he does that stuff, you guys. People open their pocketbooks because they're still enthralled. They're still gaslit, right? They're still in his cult. So, but what I will say to you is this energy, 45's energy, I talked about when it's done, we can move on. It will be done by March of next year. Now, what does that mean? It means that he's going to lose. That is written. I predicted that Kamala would be president before. This is something the guides got right. He's going to lose. Our lesson is back to that woman who's been gaslit. How do you deal with your spouse? Do you take him to court? This is what the American people have to decide. What are we going to do with 45 when he says it was all rigged and all the states, 3, 4 states come out and say it was rigged and we're not validating, we're not no, this count is not correct. And they drag it on. They drag on the court cases. We all see how long it takes for the justice system to do anything, right? Like it takes 40 days, 45 days to get on the docket, right? It could take months for these cases to wind their way through the courts, to be able to be struck down so that we can move on with our lives, knowing that Kamala Harris is president, 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 and not under some sort of cloud of confusion. Okay. So the worst case scenario is that his influence on us continues until March, February. Worst case scenario. But even then, at that point, it's done. The whole mirage that is Trumpville, and also how it affects everybody, like your local mayor, your governor, even the police chief, even your state reps and senators, as well as your federal, your Congress people, that delusional energy is going to collapse with him. Once he's gone, all of that goes. It's like he really does drain the swamp. He leaves and the swamp goes with him. Okay. Now, it can happen sooner, right? It could happen sooner if we learn our lesson. If somehow Americans are able to get it out there, and I think it's slowly getting out there, but the media is not on our side. The media is not reporting what's really happening. The polls are not on our side, but you better believe that there are inner Republican groups that are getting the real deal, that understand the real polling, and they understand they're in real trouble. And they understand that a lot of them are looking at indictments if their orange guy doesn't win. So one of the things that could happen is that, this is what the guides are saying, and they've said it before, that the Republicans say we cannot lose not only the presidency but also down ballot all the way down, right, to your judge in your town, you know what I mean? All the way down. We can't lose all of that. So let's get rid of 45. And again, there's lots of ways that can happen. They can help him abscond, they can create a little opportunity for him to get away. They could pass him some extra robust vitamins that make him go to sleep forever. They can, there's lots of ways that they can have him step down. They can just tell him, like the word I heard is edict, give him an edict that says, you're toast. Again, we've said for 6 months, I don't know why, I don't know how, I don't see anybody at the Republican helm. I don't see Vance. I don't see 45. I see chaos. So just as I'll remind you guys, one Sunday we woke up and Biden was running for office. And by the time we went to bed that night, he was not, and Harris was. In 12 hours, the entire United States changed in 12 hours. If you don't think that we can wake up a week from now and have 45 gone or Vance gone, you're wrong, because we've seen it. It can happen. It can happen. Vance can step down because he's made to, or he can step down for whatever reason. Anything can happen, you guys. We are in this period of energy right now where, and specifically September for some reason, anything can happen. Anything. So all I know is that there's energy that says all of this could collapse before the election, and Harris could get the transfer of power on the right day. I don't feel it exactly, but it could happen. It could happen. Or there's a delay. Either way, we win. Either way, sanity wins. Either way, United States democracy wins. And then there's a lot of hard work to do. We have to stay plugged in. We can't just put this on autopilot. Autopilot is how we ended up with these rogue people running our ship. We have to be more involved in our democracy from your state level, your city level, all the way up to the national level. And if we need to get in the streets, then we need to get in the streets, right? So briefly, I'll just talk about Bibi and Netanyahu. The guide said that the Israeli people would remove him, and they are going to remove him. Now, when I go into the energy of Netanyahu, the thing is this: he doesn't care. Um, it's true. Like, I was talking to the spirit guides this morning because, like, in some ways, Netanyahu's never been a great guy. You know, he's always been a war hawk. He's always been whatever he's been. But I don't think people saw him becoming who he is now. Like, what happened, right? Same thing with 45. Like, he's not been a great guy, but did we see him becoming who he is now? It's like they get drunk with power. JD Vance, they're reminding me, is another guy like in college. He was probably a goofy, happy guy. But and you know who else is like this? Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas and JD Vance came from a background that was disadvantaged. And when they got power, they decided that they need to wield this power. And they're the only ones that can wield this power because they're special, because they escaped that disadvantaged situation. That makes them better than those other people they left behind. So in a lot of ways, JD Vance and Clarence Thomas have very similar energies like that. Like, they're like, I'm not like them. I'm not going to help them because they're losers and suckers and whatever. I'm not going to help them. They need to help themselves. I help myself. Not really. The fact that you came from a disadvantaged background probably gave you a lot of DEI, a lot of help that you now don't want to admit, right? But the point is that it's interesting how these people changed. They became drunk with power, right? Like, same thing with Bibi, same thing with Trump. They just became, the more power they had, the more drunk, the more, absolute power corrupts, So the problem with Netanyahu is that he absolutely is completely intent to destroy everything. And again, the energy they're showing me is a little bit like Putin saying, Ukraine is mine. I'm going to take it. It used to be the USSR. I'm going to take it. It's mine. No one's going to stop me. I'm going to take it. It's mine. It's not up for discussion, right? And then what did they do? They took over the Donetsk. They took over Crimea. They annexed it. Oh, we'll just control it. We'll just operate it for you, Ukraine. You can still come on this land, but we'll control it for you. This is what Netanyahu has been doing with the Palestinians. He's been having incursions, coming into the settlements, right? Now, I'm not trying to say that I'm anti-Israel, because I'm not. And if you come to me, I'm just going to block you, because I'm not. I'm not anti-Israel. I'm not anti-Palestine. I'm anti-Hamas, and I'm anti-Netanyahu. Netanyahu, when I go into his energy, he wants all of that land for Israel. Period. End of story. He doesn't want any Palestinians on that entire land. Like I said, period. End of story. That's what he wants. And he's not going to stop until he gets it. Period. End of story. So this is what you're looking at. Now, the Israeli people are feeling this is a price too high to pay. It's not, the guides have said many times, humans don't want war. Humans are tired of violence. They're so tired of violence, right? And I'm talking about worldwide humans. So you have these Israelis, huge record numbers of Israelis in the streets saying, we don't want this. We want peace. Can't we have peace? You have people like Netanyahu saying, no, we can't. We can't have peace because we don't have what we want yet. You have people like Putin saying, no, we can't have peace because we don't have what we want yet, right? They want this complete, absolute power. So in this way, you're getting to a point in that country where, you know what I mean? Something has to give. Something has to give. And I think the thing that's going to give is going to be Bibi, because it's not, because the people, they don't want it. And now I don't think the military wants it. And I don't think the police force, whatever that spy police force is, they don't want it. Is it Mossad? They don't want it. Nobody wants it. Everybody wants safety. They want peace. And they want somebody who's willing to negotiate that, who's willing to lead them to that. How can we do this? Right? How can we get safety and peace? We want that. Bibi doesn't. So he's out. I feel like he'll be out by the end of the year, if not sooner. I mean, there's a lot of free will running around. And again, if the Israeli people get in the streets every single day, if they literally shut it down, it'll happen sooner. What will the people choose? We are the ones that get to make the decision. That's why it's so important that they keep us dumb. All of these power hungry people keep us in the dark and gaslight us. Because when we wake up and we realize that there's more of us than there are of them, well, it starts looking like the French Revolution. It starts looking like, uh-oh, off with their heads. It looks like a war against the billionaires, against the power people. And they're terrified of that. They should be. They've treated us very poorly. They deserve what they're getting to a degree, right? So that's what I think is happening there. And I think that you're going in this latest these hostages that were killed is a reprehensible, right? And people should be held accountable. And their guides are showing me Biden went to Bibi and said, we can, like we did Osama bin Laden, which, by the way, we all know who did that. We can go in surgically and remove these people. We don't have to bomb an entire group of people. We can literally go in and take the leaders out. We can do this without casualties, without civilian casualties. But that's not what Bibi wanted, because Bibi doesn't want the civilians there. Period. End of story. He doesn't want those people there. So I think we have to choose oneness. We have to say, you might have attacked me, I might have attacked you. We have to find some kind of common ground. We have to. Because guess what? We're stuck on this freaking planet together, and we're going to have to learn to live together. We're going to have to learn to trust each other. We're going to have to learn to protect ourselves, but at the same time, not take from others, and have this ability to protect ourselves, but yet be open. It's not impossible. It's just not impossible. But humans have to choose better leaders. We have to get rid of these gaslighting leaders. We have to divorce them. We have to have a divorce. And then we have to, take what's ours and fix it and heal it and then move on. Okay, with that, I'm going to end this video. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Let me know what you thought in the comments. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. I'll probably do one more video, and then I'm traveling, so you might get 2 videos out of me this week. You might just get this one. I'm not sure, but I will be back. I do want to talk about Jack Smith, so I will do another video because there's lots going on with Jack Smith. So stay tuned for another video. Take really, really good care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. For entertainment purposes only.